Man's Search for Meaning, The Modern Dilemma. I'm Malin, and today I kind of wanted to talk about Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor E. Frankl, because I've struggled in the past to kind of find meaning. I've watched so many videos and so much content on it, and none of it seemed to stick. It just made me feeling more lost and more meaningless and kind of more hopeless in life. And this book kind of helped me a bit, but only now, even though I read it 2 years ago, I'm only now starting to realise what it actually means in my life. So Viktor E. Frankl kind of survived these concentration camps, these really kind of terrible conditions, and yet he managed to get through it and kind of build this meaning. And so he talks about this will to meaning is kind of our basis to life. You know, we all want a sense of meaning. That's kind of why we live and what we can live for and how we can bear on any suffering. You know, he quotes Nietzsche, "He who has a why can bear anyhow." And this is like very important because in our modern society, you know, where we have so much pleasure and we have so much easy kind of quick fixes that kind of solve this solution of feeling lost and feeling meaningless, like in a quick hit, you know, we're instantly entertained and we get this short kind of high where we feel great, but then we kind of have this come down and we don't really feel that good. And something that shocked me in this book, Man's Search for Meaning, was that the people who started smoking were the ones that were going to die next, the prisoners that were going to die next, because they had given up whatever kind of coupons or kind of currency that they had built up. They spent it on smokes and for trading for smokes to kind of get a quick hit of pleasure because they had given up and they had no reason to continue on suffering, and they kind of gave into that. And this is kind of sad, and we need to kind of combat this. You know, we've got to take responsibility. Like, I know it sounds really crazy, but in the face of suffering, we kind of have to realize that we could take this in two different ways. You know, we can give into it, we can kind of feel down and mull in it, and that's what so many people are doing now. That's what I've done for so many years, you know, just mulled in kind of my angst and like my loneliness and just feeling so down and depressed and meaningless and very lost. And that didn't really benefit me. And I've only now come to realize that, you know, you've got to take responsibility for that, and you can choose to what kind of view you have on it, you know. And you could have a view where, you know, like I said, where it kind of leaves you feeling down, or you can kind of have a positive light, like, oh, this sucks, but it can benefit me because of this. And all of those years that I've spent stuck, meaningless and lost, you know, only now I'm like, oh, this can actually have meaning to me because I can share it with other people who have been in my position, and I can kind of give them the answers and give them the way that I've kind of found out of it, and they can connect to me with this experience because so many other people are kind of experiencing this, and there's bound to be other people like me. And I just wish that I had a video like this that I had stumbled upon when I was searching so much for all these answers, because none of them seemed to fit, none of them actually helped me. And this also ties into paradoxical intention that Viktor E. Frankl talks about. You know, the harder that you try for something, the further away it kind of gets, you know. The more you try to find meaning, the kind of further away it gets. I'll give you another example. The harder you try to get someone to like you, the more they're going to kind of get repelled, like, and kind of sus about it. This also happens to sleep. You know, the harder you try to sleep, the longer you're going to stay up. So why is this? I think it's because we're focusing on the outcome, the result of it, you know, the sleep, getting someone to like us, rather than the actual actions, the actual kind of things, that the tangible thing that will actually get us there. So for sleep, that's relaxing before you go to bed, because that will make you feel more tired and also help you wind down for bed. But also with the tired is that you do something that makes you feel tiring, so then you're more likely to fall asleep. And with getting someone to like you, it's not trying to get them to like you, it's presenting yourself as you are and just trying to connect to that person as you can, because that will cause them to like you, because they'll be drawn to your honesty and your integrity and you trying to connect with them rather than you trying to get them to like you. You know, you kind of focus on this external thing rather than what you can kind of control. So you may be wondering, how do I find meaning? How am I supposed to go about this? And I'm going to do a little exercise with you. So I want you to close your eyes with me and visualize yourself on your deathbed. So you're about to die and you're looking back on your life and see the actions that you've taken, see where they've led you, see what kind of life you've led, what kind of people you're with, what kind of job you're working, how you felt on a day-to-day basis, and how you feel about the life you've lived. Chances are you're probably not going to feel very successful about it, you're not going to feel very positive about it. And this can feel overwhelming at first. You know, for me, it's like, oh, this is so overwhelming, this is so much, you know, it feels too big to tackle all at once. And it is, because at the moment we're not ready for that. We haven't built ourselves up for that. And so what I'd recommend is that you kind of see, you know, once you've created this anti-vision, all these things that you don't want, it can help you to inform you what you do want. And so you kind of realize, okay, so these are the things that I do want. And a part of meaning comes from, so there's kind of like a few components to it, you know, it's doing something or doing a deed, meeting someone or having experience, having some sort of experience, and suffering. So suffering doesn't have to lead to meaning, but suffering is, when you have a meaning, it's easier to suffer, and it's like your attitude towards it, whether it's positive or whether you kind of let it get to you and you kind of slip back into your old habits. And people and experiences are kind of things like somebody that inspires you, or something that kind of changed your thought or your view and kind of open yourself up to something, whether that's something beautiful or whether that's something that you loved. And this is important because it kind of shows you, you know, with the example of other people, it shows you an example of what could be, you know, all these inspiring people, you know, what you could be. And this big vision, after you've just visualized, you know, yourself on your deathbed, it kind of feels overwhelming, and there's like this great burden of kind of responsibility, and you kind of want to shirk that. But you know, this is going to kind of bring us meaning and more value in our life, and it doesn't have to, you don't have to tackle it all at once. That's just what I want to say, because when you're down in the dumps, you're feeling meaningless, and you've kind of clicked on this video to try and help you, but you don't know how to get there, you're not sure if you have the will to do it, and you're just looking for a quick fix. You've just got to start small, you know. And to do that, what I would recommend is just pick a habit, pick a time to do it, pick something that kind of aligns with who you want to be, and just make it simple and realistic, you know, something that you're going to be able to sustain every day. So then you can build kind of this evidence, you know, as James Clear says, casting votes for your future self, or the self that you want to become. And just start with these small steps, you know. And if you're like me, you're just like, oh my god, I just want to do, but there's so much that I want to do, I just want to tackle all of it. And if you've tried that in the past, I've tried that in the past, it never works. You always slip back because you're trying to add too much, and as soon as you go against some sort of resistance, you kind of fall apart and go back to your old kind of habits. So it's important to kind of build up this, because change is very hard, and it's all these small little acts of habits every day, you know, the days that you don't feel like it, but you still do it, and then you build some respect and some trust with yourself. And then over time, you start to enjoy it more because you feel more fulfilled, you're doing something that you find meaningful, and then it kind of becomes this snowball effect, you know, it compounds. And after a while, it just becomes so much more easier and natural to kind of live this life. So that's what I wanted to talk about with Man's Search for Meaning. I hope this helped you. Please comment if you have any questions or kind of queries about it, and I'll see you in the next video.